I found this clip that made me laugh. Definitely made me laugh. But very true that we all have to think about when creating who we are. So.
Do they growl at you or
not so much the growling, but I saw this dude the other day, and he was like, "Yo, what up, DMX? How you doing?" I'm like, "Come on, homie, like really."
Hey, but you know what's a trip though, DMX? My whole career too. Anytime that I go to talk about X, I'll do kind of the same thing. Like even when I see Ice Cube, I go, "Oh, yay!" So if I'm talking about DMX, I'm like, "Hey, what's going on?"
So I don't know anybody who doesn't mention DMX and tries to either bark or do that same impression that Big Boy did. There's we've seen comedians do it. I think Dave Chappelle, like you said, Moose before this has done it. But like the great thing about building a brand is that there's certain things that will make us recognize you, right? I've been reading this book. Shout out to Deeper Than the Brand community. They know the book I'm talking about. And if you want to know, tweet us. You know what I mean?
Little shameless plug real quick.
You know what I mean? Nicky and Moose everywhere. You know what I mean? But there's this book that was saying like, you know, you have to own a word in the mind of a consumer, right? But now I'm thinking you kind of have to own something in saying it, in reading it, in hearing it, and feeling it, right? And that's one of the things that DMX did very well. Like when we hear the growl or even when we see a pit bull, like we think of DMX. Right. Yeah. When we feel when we hear that aggressive like flow, we think of DMX, right? The way that hey, it's DMX, it's me. Like that we know when we hear that, that's DMX, right? So we have to be like, yo, how do I get something that when people hear it, like when they hear a certain tone, when they see a certain figure, something that they can say, yo, that's me, right? That's me right there. When they see, when they see the what up, and the arm stretched out, that's E, right? When you hear motivation, that's E, right? So we think about it and we see what these legends do. We hear what they do, but are we really picking up why they're so memorable? Because they like burn it in our brain that this is their brand. Like there is not, and it goes by repetition. Like every song you heard a growl. Every song you heard a bark, right? Every song you had that same kind of flow. So when you hear it, you know exactly, you can hear 3 seconds of it. That's DMX.
Yeah.
Hands down, that's DMX. And we have to start thinking about what is some of the words that will associate with our brand? What are some of the sounds, catchphrases? What are some of the quotes? What are some of the kind of the voices, faces, whatever it is, what can identify and say, yo, every time I see, hear, read, feel this is that person. And I'm like, mind blown why I didn't think about this before. Every time I hear a bark, I don't hear a dog, I hear DMX. I'm just saying.
You know, what's so dope about this, and of course, this is your lane, so I love that, you know, you're making that connection here. But I think the only thing that comes to mind from my end is that every single person that you associate that element of, like you said, it's one of their senses, a sound, a word, something that they do that you
That's what I was
associate to a
struggling with. I
particular
was like,
person. That's whatever.
hear, read, all that great, that thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, it's one of those things, but it usually comes from something that they're super passionate about. So for those of you out there who are thinking like, man, what's that thing for my brand? You don't even got to stretch your imagination to make it so thought-provoking. It could be the simplest things. Like when you look at DMX, you see a lot of pit bulls, literally a lot of dogs in his music videos, in his pictures. He loves dogs. So I don't know if it was a conscious choice or maybe a subconscious reaction, but he did what he enjoyed. When you talk about E and you look deeper into his, choice or of him kind of going with that phrase, thank God it's Monday. If for those who really listen to him, you'll start to know that when they were building the brand, Friday was the day that everyone was excited to leave. But for them, that meant that they could no longer build their dream. And they had to, disconnect from the time that they were together in the office. So it's usually something super simple that you're truly a fan of yourself or something that you enjoy that you throw out there. And then the other lovers of that thing kind of like hear your voice or hear that sound. They're like, yo, I like dogs too. Or other people is just like, it's funny to them, whatever it is. So yeah, I just wanted to add that in there, Nix, because I'm like, man, it could be the simplest thing and, that'll catch someone's attention.
And that's the thing. And also, if anybody is ever wondering, like, yo, what is that thing? Just ask. Like, ask close people, ask your followers, ask people, if you have an email list, whatever it is, like ask people, yo, what is one thing, one word that you associate me with? What is the phrase? What is the sound? What is something that I always do? So you can get that data and then you could truly brand on that. They probably in Rough Riders caught on to the growling and was like, you know what? This is what you do every single time. Every single time, right? They probably had some hand in it because I think before they had artist development. So they probably were like, this thing, you have to. I don't care. You go to an interview, we're hitting Hot 97, whatever it is, all your drops, it has to end with a growl or a bark or something, right? And that's intentional because now that burns in our head. What are you saying? What are you doing? What is the gestures? What is the colors? What is something that you always do, wear, say, whatever, every single time that it burns in our head that we could always attach you with? That's like basic branding.
Yeah.
And I'm so mad that I was like, it takes this for me to understand that DMX was a low-key branding genius. What is...
Right.
Like the littlest things, even from the chain, like, and we'll get into that part, but like his chain is always like a silver, like dog collar kind of vibe. Like it wasn't gold. It wasn't diamond out or anything like that. He always had kind of like this silver, like dog collar kind of vibe. You can't, like, there's certain things you could always recognize and be like, okay, my man can't say anything. He just shows up. That's DMX. That's right there. You can have 7 of those, right? And if one of them had the chain, that one's DMX.
Yeah.
Little things.
Yeah. It's true.
Little things.
It's true. It's true. Yeah.